Yo, Mana Squad, if you like any of the cards you see in today's video, you can go ahead and show the channel some love with the affiliate link down below for TCG Player. TCG Player is going to have whatever it is you're looking for, and you can even search for some of your local game stores and buy from them and show them some love as well. And speaking of showing the channel love, another great way to do so is by rocking into the AM. Got the discount code on screen and down below. You can show us some love, look good in the process, and as Kenneth the Heathen loves to say, something about dripping in space and screaming.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do it unless we play those three vegetative letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Hadoken?
Y'all know what it stands for. It stands for exploring different homes. And where's your home located? On your land. That's right. This is a lands episode, baby. We talking about the stuff that Magic is built on. But before we go down that lane, we got some stuff to address.
Yeah, I need to address, I didn't hear the M in homes when you said it. So I was like, that is a topic that I did not know we were getting into today. But that's a different video for a different day. We will talk about homes and include that M for today. Today we want to talk about
we use hose when we work on the land.
That's true.
Wait. I'm jumping all over the place. Did you say? Well, you didn't hear the M in home.
I did not. No.
Oh,
and
that's
true.
That spells hot dog for everybody out there listening. If you take the M out of home, it spells hot dog. Anyway.
That's our After Dark podcast where we talk about farming equipment, right?
Yeah, we talk about
backhoes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's a whole different thing. That's where we get into
Bobcat. We looking for a sponsorship.
Exactly,
hey.
And of course, when it breaks, that's when you realize that those hoes ain't loyal. But anyway, going down this line, we're talking about our favorite lands from the latest sets that came out. So, who want to kick us off?
So I missed the latest set part, but definitely talking about our favorite lands. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about both utility lands and some MDFCs as well. So basically anything that acts as a land, but also has that extra utility. What are some of our favorites that we've been playing? What are some of our favorites that we like to force into decks? And even maybe some weird ones that we're just really impartial to. Said, I know this had to be your least favorite video ever to prep for, because honestly, like we were joking before, my expectation was that Sed's answer was going to be just the Grixis lands, like mountain, swamp, island. Those are my utility lands. Like,
they will get you. They will get you there.
Well, they will. They always do.
For the people who don't know, including myself, what does MDFC stand for?
Don't ask me to spell on camera. Multi MDFC. Oh gosh, modal dual face cards.
Okay.
That's I'm like 70% sure on that. We're just gonna have to roll with it. But they're the cards that have two sides. So they're like a sorcery or something on the front, or even some are creatures, and it's a land on the back, to help you hit land drops and everything. So let's jump into it. I do want to do a honorable mention to a few lands that I feel like are too obvious that I'm just not going to talk about, and that is some of those channel lands. So especially the blue one, which I'm Otawara and Boseiju. Those are just like the best lands ever. Those cards are ridiculous. So I don't think it's breaking any news to put them in our list. But for those two in particular, like obviously when it comes to utility lands, I can't remember the last time something got busted was printed, and then it's like, oh, you can't even counter it because it's a damn ability. So yeah, we'll leave those out for now. But let's jump into our list. Ken, I know you seemed a little extra excited, so Sid, kick it off for us.
All right, so I'm gonna slow us down just a little bit, and I know we just got started, so it's like, what are we doing here? Pump your brakes. I'm new to this. All right, walk with me, talk with me, if you will.
Come with me on this journey.
And since we're on this journey, I feel like we need to talk about the Shire. Talk about Lord of the Rings and that little journey they did. But I feel like the Shire is a card that I can get down with. It's not too out there. I understand it. It's granted, you need to have a legendary creature when you play it. Whatever, green, you can get there. But also, you can just create food tokens just by tapping an untapped creature. I feel like this is something that can be like, if you just leave it unchecked, this can just amass food tokens anytime you get a chance to. And don't get it twisted. You don't only have to do this only during your turn. You can untap lands. I know what you people do out there with your lands. I've seen you.
Yeah, nasty. My favorite is the commander that goes
Dirty
with this
people.
card. Yeah, there's a commander that goes with this card that's amazing. It's called the Shire Buff. Base, and it also works with Transformers decks too. So get out there. The Shire buffs coming soon. Coming soon.
Just do it. So the other nice thing about that is that I don't know who's gonna waste their strip mine on a Shire. Like it's the perfect utility land in that like it's not useless. Like it's not just there because nobody wants to get rid of it, but like nobody in a world where monsters play like Gaia's Cradles and like Cabal Coffers and just make poor life decisions, you need to save your strip mines and your ghost quarters and stuff like that. So nobody's gonna use their two pieces because that's the other thing. It's like with utility lands, what makes them so good is like there's what at tops maybe you run 2 or 3 pieces of removal for a land in a deck, and that's like if you're heavy in it. Most decks have maybe 1, so it's like such a good way to just get that value. And yeah, nobody's gonna, if someone blows up your Shire, honestly, like I need to know what you did to hurt them outside of the game, because I feel like there's some personal stuff going on, and I think that's like you'll need to have a sit down and a conversation because there's a lot going on there.
You know, I got a hot take. I understand the beef with the Shire because there was a bunch of people running around causing trouble in business. They had no problem. They had no business being in other people's business. All right, they should have stayed in their homes. Where were the Eagles? They could have just flew the Eagles. I'm never gonna let this go. They could have just flew the damn Eagles. But I'm gonna let this go.
I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to Ken because I know he has some Lord of the Rings lands as well.
I do, but I don't want to talk about that first. The first card I want to bring up is this one called Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, this card is low key busted, especially if you can bounce lands and sack lands. So let me explain. First of all, it's an island, the rudest land in Magic, because forget blue players. Anyway, Mystic Sanctuary. When it enters the battlefield, if you control 3 or more islands, it comes in untapped. When it enters the battlefield, you may put an instant or sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library. It can recur instants and sorcery spells from your graveyard. This card is so busted. I put it in my Modrotha deck, and it just keeps the hits coming.
The fact that is it an island as well? Like
it is an
has
island.
The subtype island?
Yes.
So you could fetch it out and stuff? Is
yes,
just... Why was that necessary? Like it seemed, and I think it was like a comment or something when it got printed too. It's like, why did it need to be fetched? Like that just is doing too much.
So there was a little cycle with this during that Throne of Eldraine because I was possibly considering talking about Witch's Cottage. The cycle of these lands, when they come in, they can grab something from the graveyard and throw them to the top of the library. So Witch's Cottage grabs creatures. The blue one will grab your instant or sorcery.
So I can reoccur counter spells. I can reoccur bounce spells. I can recur board wipes. This land is disgusting.
Throne of Eldraine, a notoriously fair and balanced Magic set that had no design scariness whatsoever.
I'm sorry. The best thing that came out of Throne of Eldraine was the fact that food became a creature type. Shut up. I know that's what it means.
Yeah. Oh, and the little gingerbread man with all the icing all over its face, just running around, causing nightmares.
Not the gumdrop buttons.
All right, so I'm going to take it and talk about my first card. So I definitely missed the memo on more recent sets. This is a set from, I believe, either the late 90s or the early 2000s. I'm going to talk about Mouth of Renome. This is a pet card of mine that I really, really love to run. Mouth of Renome is a snow land, comes in untapped, taps for a colorless, which I automatically like when some of these utility lands come in untapped. But you could pay 4 a snow and then tap it. So essentially 6 mana. So it's expensive to sacrifice it and then deal 4 damage to target creature. The thing that I enjoy about this though is it's almost like the threat of activation thing I've noticed, where like it's similar to like a Maze of It or something. If I'm playing a deck where I'm either leaving a bunch of mana up or I want to sacrifice my lands like a Titania or something like that, or I'm just leaving up activated abilities, people see that, oh, this weird land that you have up, either they don't see it, they have no idea what it is, and I can sneakily blow up a creature, or they know I can deal 4 damage at any given point in time and kill their commander, kill one of their most important creatures. And it is just a wonderful bargaining chip of like, oh gosh, please don't throw your Glacier at one of my favorite creatures. And just having it on a land is great because, again, nobody is going to waste their strip mine on my Mouth of Renome, considering it's a one-time effect. It's an overcosted effect, but having it there, it feels like super sneaky. And yeah, it's one of those things that most times I don't even have to use it, but in an emergency, if you run into stuff to do, throw a glacier at a creature, and it is a wonderful time. Also, fun fact, that's where I think that's the area where Felden lives, on the Renome Glacier, or he's from there, or something like that. So,
Isn't that the dude
Graham.
who wiped out on a torture wreck?
Man, I forgot that conversation happened until I rewatched the Shuffle Up and Play, and realized that you were taunting my grandpa's. I guess that would be my grandma, my grandpa's wife, whatever it is. Just the torture at the hands of Ashnod. So yeah, I was about to cuss, but I realized that this is family friendly.
Since when?
So
The safe word is potato.
I didn't ever say what kind of families can, but it is family friendly technically for some families. Let's throw it over to Sed to get to your second land.
All right, welcome back, you family of heathens. Today we are talking about Mirror Pool. Why Mirror Pool? Because it is a versatile land that, even though it has that diamond mana in there that you're supposed to use those, what do we call those land? Wastelands, I guess, maybe. The waste types. Colorless mana. What colorless mana? I forget the conversations. Anyway, it does it in Battlefield tap, but however, you can pay 2 and another colorless mana to copy an instant or sorcery, or you can pay 4 and also a colorless mana to create a copy of a creature. So I feel like that this is versatile enough depending on the deck that you're playing with. I played this in my creatureless Blood Avatar deck because I can either pay 3 to copy the spell as the Blood Avatar is being cast and mess you guys up that way, or I can wait till it becomes a creature and pay 5 and just create another Blood Avatar. So which way do you want it? I'm going to serve it to you.
You know what's wild? That card reminds me a lot, in like my brain space, of Mirage Mirror, in that I find myself either cutting it or not putting in decks, because when I'm like building the deck, I can't directly visualize what it's going to be used for.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. But did you say you're not putting in Mirage Mirror?
It ends up getting cut from so many decks, because like as I'm looking at my plan, so many times I'm like so into like, this card does this, I know what this does. So many times I'm like, Mirage Mirror, it's gonna do something, but I'm just not sure what it's gonna do, and then it gets cut. And Mirror Pool does the same thing for me. I've had it in and out of decks because I'm like, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna use it for, when I'm gonna use it. But I feel like every time you have it, you have to feel amazing, because it just does so much.
You use it to win. That's what you use it for. You use it to win. What are you talking about? And if you don't put a Mirage Mirror in all your decks, that's like saying I don't put lands in my deck. Like, what are you talking about?
You know what? I think Derek has disappointed me enough, like only your son could, a father. So I'm going to pass this off to Ken.
All right, everybody. Y'all ready for this? Anyway, so one of my favorite lands that came out recently came from one of the sets, and the land is called Rivendell. And if you don't know what Rivendell is, it's an Archie comics based show that shows on the CW with Archie, Jughead, and Betty.
Calm. I'm going to jump in and just calm all this down, because first of all, Riverdale, we all know, is from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. We saw it on Netflix. You don't have to gaslight us, Ken. Jeez.
I'm
Isn't
sorry.
that where
Actually,
Walk of Flock is from?
Huh?
Isn't it where Walk of Flock is from, Rivendell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But to not piss y'all off anymore, it's from Stranger Things. It's actually where the Upside Down is held.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you look at the card, Rivendell, it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. It taps for blue, and you can pay 1 in the blue and tap a Scry 2, and you can activate this if you have a legendary creature. This goes gangbusters in Commander. Especially, it is so easy to find a cheap legendary creature to play this off of, and it helps you cycle through your deck.
Yeah, it's a good thing, I guess, in a format where you're basically forced to have a legendary creature at the ready. It seems like it's a pretty good land to have, and it's also like scrying. I feel like scrying is it's almost as, I think I'm just bad at evaluating things. Like I was just talking about with the Mirage Mirror and stuff like that. Scrying sometimes I think I really just underrate in how like useful it is to select what's on top of your library, because a lot of times if I'm looking at a card and it like can do something incremental like that, I kind of just dismiss it. And I'm like, well, I'm not drawing any cards, or I'm not like doing that. So like, why do I need it? And then so many times in a game, I'm like, well, damn, I just need to like get a specific card now. I don't care about drawing 7 cards. I just need one specific one, and the scrying would do the job. So like, yeah, I do think, shout out to Waka Flocka, your homeland of Rivendell, is doing work and helping people scry. I'm picturing scry said like he says squad. I feel like there needs to be a walk. That's the next Universes Beyond. Waka Flocka. It's coming.
Oh no. Anyway, yeah, based off Rivendell, Georgia, and the flavor text is even better. It says turtles in a half shell. So who's next?
All right. So the next land I want to talk about is definitely a lot more played than Mouth of Renome. It's a well-known land, but it's still like my go-to utility land in a bunch of decks, and that's Westvale Abbey. Westvale Abbey is another colorless land that comes in on tap. You can pay 5 mana and tap it, so another 6 mana effect to pay a life and get a 1/1 white and black human cleric token. I can't remember the last time I've ever used that, but technically it does something. And then most importantly, you can pay 5 mana, tap, sacrifice 5 creatures, and transform it into Ormondal Profane Prince, who is just what?
I have a question. It creates a what kind of token?
A 1/1 white and black cleric token.
Okay, you didn't pronounce cleric like that before, but we're gonna keep going.
What did I call it?
You said clearing or something. Yeah, I'm gonna let that go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you know what? Nobody uses that effect anyway. It's a 1/1 human. Nobody needs that. The important thing is the demon on the backside, because the demon is a 9/7 flying lifelink, indestructible, and haste. It is beautiful, and obviously I love spooky stuff. So like the fact that you have like an abbey that's just like there, and this spooky demon just bursts out of it and just is just destroying everything is wonderful. But the thing that I love about this is like I talked to y'all about, I love putting mini games into my decks. So in a lot of my decks, I'll force like meld cards or cards that need to like be assembled from multiple pieces or something like this, where you have to pull off the sacking 5 creatures in order to get it out. So to me, it's really fun just to put it, even if it's not a token deck. It's also like great board wipe protection in a way, because if you do get a big board, you can go ahead, sacrifice your creatures, transform it into an indestructible creature to protect yourself. Everybody knows how cool this card is, but I just think it's one of those that I used to try to put it mostly in like token decks and token strategies, and not honestly anything I'll put it in, just because to me it's even more fun. If I'm playing a non-token deck and I only have like however many creatures out, it's just that much more satisfying to say, you know what, creatures, y'all don't matter. My board Ormondal is the one that needs to come in right now and start the party. And yeah, it is a wonderful time. So let's get to our final cards in our final round. Sid, what is the last one? You've been, honestly, for someone who does have that never-ending hatred towards lands, your picks have been very solid so far. So I'm curious to see what you have here.
What can I say? When you're a jank player, you make trash out of treasure. I mean, treasure out of trash. Anyway, lands are trash. That's what I was trying to say. So my last card that I want to talk about, it's a card effect. I feel like that this is kind of underplayed, underutilized, and I feel like we should probably see it more, especially depending on your play group and your meta. Sometimes you can catch people slacking with their flyers. Their ground game might be strong, but their sky game is not there. So what if you make your creatures fly, but from their lands? So Fairy Conclave is a land itself that just turns into a flyer. Don't forget that. Can't forget about Hadana's Climb, which turns into Winged Temple of Oraska. Oraska. You can end up paying 1 in a Simic and just turn one of your big beaters into an even big beater, but in addition to it being big, it also flies. And one is always gets slept on, but I still play it anyway. Soaring Seacliff comes into play tap, but when it enters, target creature gains flying until the end of turn, because who expects that giant Leviathan to turn into a flyer? I
do think flying has gotten like significantly better. In like, for me at least, it feels like flying just gets better and better for some reason, because it's like the most like, oh, it's just a regular keyword, who cares? And then I find out I care, because I never have a flyer on board, and it's just like I said, I can't think of how many times you've killed me just because you have like 2 demons, or like your flying zombie deck where it's just like, oh, I got like 3 8/8s and I have like 20 creatures, like, oh, I have no flyers, I'm just dead, because yeah. So especially on lands, that's so sneaky, because I feel like you, especially that till end of turn flying effect, like I know it's a big thing like limited and you can do like combat tricks, but for it to be on a land, to get that like combat trick effect on a land, even though it's just for a turn, it still taps for mana afterwards, so you're not really missing out on much. Like that's sneaky, and I'm gonna forget it and then end up dying to it very soon, I feel like. So
to quote a great poet, it ain't tricking if you got it.
50 Cent.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. All right, Cam, what's your last pick?
All right, my pick. All right, we going back to X-Men: The Last Stands for my card. This is Mount Doom. All right. Simply put, it's a board wipe on a card. What more can you ask for? Because, I mean, it does. It's a board wipe on a card. I think that kills the entire conversation right there.
Wasn't there another card like Blast? Is it Blast Zone or?
Blast Zone only does stuff equal to the number of counters on it.
Okay.
So if you put 2 counters, it only kills like 2 CMC stuff.
Gotcha. So what's making Mount Doom different?
Mount Doom is different because it kills everything. Okay. First of all, you choose up to 2 creatures, then you destroy the rest.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Mount Doom says deep is bluest. My hat is like a shark's fin. Because it's from Deep Blue Sea, right? That's the movie it's from.
Deep Blue Sea is where the kid tries to find his father Nemo. So, like I said,
my bad.
So you have to sacrifice a legendary artifact, but again, you get to blow up the board.
And it's a dual land, right? It taps for red and black.
Yes.
Like that's I think that's the crazy thing about some of the newer ones. Like to get the fact that some of these utility lands we talked about, some come in untapped, and then some like the fact that it color fixes you and is a board wipe on a land is kind of ridiculous.
Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I literally just got this. So it says, okay, you sacrifice Mount Doom and the legendary artifact. I get why you have to sacrifice the artifact now because okay, it makes sense. This is dumb.
Because of the electric screwdriver, right?
Exactly, the sonic screwdriver.
You
whatever.
clearly
That's what it
did
is,
not
yeah.
see the son. I was about to say the sonic screwdriver. Yeah.
Yeah. Electric screwdriver. That's a whole different thing.
You must have been watching Torchwood, haven't you?
Yeah, that's when the doctor goes inside the porta potty.
Okay. On that note, Mount Doom is awesome. My last card I want to talk about is a card that again I feel like is a type of card you see a lot more in like limited and other things, but it is great when it's also a land, and it's Song Mad Treachery. So this is an MDFC, so it is a sorcery on the front, and then it's just a red land that comes into play tapped on the back. But Song Mad Treachery is 3, a red and a red, to gain control of target creature until end of turn, and it gains haste. I feel like threaten effects are kind of underrated. I'm not gonna lie, like I feel like they are something that you don't see a ton of in Commander, just because it's a 1-turn thing. Like, oh, you're getting a creature, you got to give it back. You didn't really solve a problem. But almost like what you were talking about, said if you get like a giant ass like Leviathan or some giant scary demon, there's so many times at the end of a game, if you just take someone's best creature and bonk them with it, you can just win. Like you don't even have to worry about getting your own creature. And this is like early game, bam, play it as a land. Late game, you can just win with this card. Plus, I just love the theme of like, I started thinking like these threaten effects are basically like the Magic equivalent of like demonic possession. Like you're essentially possessing their creature, making it hurt them, and then like, oh, I woke up, what happened? And it's just, there's no better petty way to win than to just bonk somebody on the head with their best thing. So I think of all the MDFCs a lot see play, I think this is one I've started forcing into more decks, because even if it doesn't fit into the theme of a deck, then it's just a land. But it can just win you stuff late out of nowhere. But that is going to wrap up our talk on lands. Said you can take a deep breath. We'll never have to talk about lands again, at least for another like few months when like 1,000 more get released and we inevitably have to reevaluate all our thoughts on utility lands as a subject. Y'all have any closing thoughts on the matter or any other things about lands you just need to get off your chest?
Just if you're trying to scoop some of the lands that we talked about to help beef up your deck, you need to check out our affiliate link at the bottom of TCG Player. Help you out yourself, your local LGS, and us at the same time.
At the same time, that's right. Make sure you pick up subscriptions to Better Homes and Gardens, because we're going to be talking about lands again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty soon. Like I said, in 3 months.
I'm gonna need you to get your Home Depot membership up. If you broke, go to Lowe's. You know.
No shade at Lowe's. But
I don't even know where that came from. I didn't even know. Lowe's is great. I've never had a bad experience there.
And if you just weird, go to Ace Hardware. You know how difficult it is to find the Ace Hardware. It's basically harder than finding a Waffle House with no stains. Good luck.
Look, at least you want to have at least people won't have a hard time finding you, because you'll be wearing your gear from Into the AM. So make sure you check out our affiliate link at the bottom to pick up your fly gear while you're in the garden, whether you're at Home Depot or at Lowe's. But at least you'll be looking fly while you're in any of those department stores.
I don't know if you can look fly at Lowe's. How low can you get? Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. Like and subscribe. But until next time, do some push-ups.